Hello folks, welcome to another Bitcoin market analysis by Inspocrypto. It feels like holidays. It really feels like holidays. The market not doing anything, really quiet once again, less dynamic. And, at the moment, nothing is happening, in my opinion. So until next Monday, I think nothing is going to happen. Only if they really want a scam pump this weekend with low volume would be possible, just to push up very hard. Otherwise, I don't know. However, we will see what's going to happen. In my opinion, everything is driven at the moment by events. So if we will get a big event, a bad one or a good one, it should move the price. But at the moment, doesn't look like. My expectation, I'm checking the charts and the metrics every day and just trading. Or at the moment, I'm not trading, but usually trading from day to day. And I think with all what's happening related to the whole industry, but in general also with the economy and equities, it's just really required to make a trade strategy from day to the next day. Because we are seeing a lot, also, for example, when we start to talk about FTX or what happened to the crypto, not talking about the mainstream media. For me, we don't need to talk about the mainstream media and how they are trying hard to protect Sam. But how big FTX was involved with different other actors in the space. So what I didn't know is, for example, that FTX purchased stakes by a tiny bank in Washington. The name is the Farmington State Bank, with only 3 staff and a very small one. So usually I would say, okay, that's not a big deal, because it's not. It's a tiny bank, and why not to own your own bank as a crypto exchange? It could be very interesting for you, but the thing is becoming more interesting when you see that the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco approved the Farmington State Bank to become membership in the Federal Reserve System. And that's a game changer. That's really a game changer. Not only that, Jean Chalopin, not sure, who is working for the Deltec Bank. Many of you maybe right now says, what? Yes, Deltec Bank, Bahamas Bank, and the main bank and the only one that wants to work with Tether. And he, as you see, is director as well of this Farmington State Bank. How interesting is that? So many would say, okay, Inspo, what's your point? So yeah, okay, that's interesting, but well, if you need liquidity and you don't have access to central bank to get access to the central bank money, you need to be approved by the Federal Reserve in that case. And I know several cases in my past and in my career. I'm not going to talk, but many of you know that many companies, like automotive companies, have their own financial services. And this guy started, to provide saving bank accounts for their customers. Maybe you know that from your experience. You bought a BMW 15 years ago or 10 years ago, and they provided at the same time the BMW credit card, the BMW account, and so on and so forth, with, of course, better conditions than your usually house account or house bank. Why did the automotive industry that kind of stuff? Liquidity. Because a big part of their business is related to credits. And people come to the dealership, wants to buy a car. Usually the car costs a lot. Many people can't pay the whole amount at once, so they request a loan, a credit. To get this liquidity, usually the key changer here is to get liquidity to a very low condition. So you don't need to pay on top just to realize this credit, because, as an automotive company, your first goal is to sell cars, not necessarily to be a bank. But as you know that, for example, 80% or 90% of all your customers request credits, so the banking functionality is getting more in your scope. And that's what happened to many companies. I know that General Electrics did the same, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and I think Ford also has his own bank now, and so on and so forth. So at the beginning, they started to provide with this customer accounts saving rates. And these saving rates were higher than, of course, the saving rates of other banks like Deutsche Bank and so on and so forth, to attract people. These saving amounts were the liquidity that then this company used, for example, also to realize credits to other customers. So the game changer here was to become member or approved by the central bank. So for that, it was necessary to get a banking license and then to have directly access to central bank money. And why is that interesting? Because you are getting the same, almost the same, if not the same conditions like a huge bank. It doesn't matter anymore. So, if you can get your money for just better conditions, you can give your customers better conditions when it comes to buy a car, for example. And that was a game changer for many companies and the automotive, but also in different sectors. And when you see, for example, that an exchange that's not, that's buying a bank with 3 staff just to get access to central bank money, that's really scary. Because usually you had a business where you had to give loans and your conditions are not really good. So you need to get better conditions. Usually the only way is get money from central banks, or you need unlimited money, means less reserves, more liquidity, because that's the point when you are working within these federal systems. Your collateral has to be much more less, and you get more money, more liquidity for it. In case of FTX, that's a critical point, because that means that their goal was to get access to the federal system to get cheap money for less collateral, so for less reserves, to get a bigger liquidity. Now imagine, and we can say thanks God that Sam failed now and not in 2 or 3 years. Can you imagine What would happen if they were continue doing what they were doing? And that's really big stuff, and really scary when you are checking that and seeing, because they don't have any kind of business model depending on credits. Only if the whole thing is a Ponzi scheme and they need more liquidity just to continue with its business model, otherwise it would collapse. And it seems that was the main problem at the end. First of all, because the collateral had a value of toilet paper, and second, they missed to get more liquidity. So yes, it looks like it was partly a big Ponzi scam. The question is, are we done? Because I still see some connections, for example, to Bitfinex and Tether. I don't have any proof, of course, and that's just my personal opinion. I think with the time, more things will come out and we will find our answers. But to see always Tether or any persons connected to Tether always involved makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest. Deltec, Tether, Bitfinex. I have seen that one analyst was checking, for example, on Curve, very interesting operations where he detected that someone bought 1.3 billion USDT with USDC on Curve, sent them to Kraken, and from Kraken back to Bitfinex. And he is expecting that they are protecting the peg of USDT against USDC. You know, so a lot of activity happening around of Tether and Bitfinex that makes me nervous, to be honest. It's what we are seeing at the moment is a big stress test for the whole industry. And even I know, even if Bitcoin or the market will crash, it will not disappear. It's not going to disappear just because it's part of the future. I mean, it's not about the project A, the project B, the project C. No. It's part of something that's not going to fail. So crypto will, like the .com bubble, because also crashed, but it survived. And the same is going to be with crypto. I don't know if we are going to crash. And to be honest, I'm not even care about, because I know it will survive. I know we will go over, and it could be a catalyst to remove toxic persons and, you know, to grow even better than before, stronger, with potentially a mass adoption that should follow afterwards. I have some contacts at big audit companies, and I know that big organizations like Fidelity are working very hard to launch with Citadel an own centralized exchange. So in my opinion, these guys usually, they are not investing that much of money when they know that the whole market is going to disappear. Another thing. Okay, but that's an initial comment. Let us go and start with the analysis. So this analysis is going to be also a short one, because I don't think that a lot of things just changed. The only thing here, weights ratio, 1 day time frame lifted up above 51, and that's why the weights ratio 30 days moving average is lifting up once again, so indicating they are sending more bitcoins to centralized exchanges by whales. That's usually not bullish at all. If we go forward, we can also see that the weights ratio 30 hours moving average is indicating they are sending more Bitcoins to centralized exchanges. Even here hitting almost 100, then it declined, but it's also indicating they are right now starting the preparation for a distribution. We need to see how far they want to go up. So I maintain bearish because I'm not seeing any kind of big accumulation, and that would be something that I would expect, but it's not happening. However, we need to check. Stablecoin supply, actually I would like to disable it because I don't see here the big value to track that here on CQ, to be honest. But you know, the reserves, the stablecoin reserves on centralized exchanges, after it declined, it's maintaining even here a little bit volatile, but maintaining stable. Stable. However, so at the moment the weights ratio 30 hours moving average lifting up, hitting 85. And I have mentioned usually when we see such kind of dump in the weights ratio 1 hour time frame, usually that indicates that we are going up soon, even if it's just a leg up, but that would be something I'm still expecting. So if we check, for example, the flow activity, we can see that Bitcoin today a little bit more active than yesterday. A little bit, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Yesterday, well, we had yesterday, for example, here, we received, and that's something I mentioned yesterday, almost 3,000 Bitcoins. And now here, a few hours ago, 3 hours ago, 1,200. So, but we are hitting the weekend. Usually the flow activity should decline and even the volume. So we will see. So nothing big happening here. And if we check the stable coins, also here very flat. Yesterday much more than today, to be honest. So at the moment nothing happening. Also here correlates very well stablecoin inflows with outflows. So buyers just reacting to the, to the sellers, and that's it. So also here nothing big at the moment. Even here related to outflows, that was the biggest one, 4,000 Bitcoins. So buying, outflow, buying, so selling and buying again. That's so I would expect maybe this weekend or Monday again an outflow of all these inflows at the moment. So it looks like bulls let the bears just sell to absorb then step by step. It looks everything a little bit coordinated, but that's just because of the price action. Let us go forward. So basically nothing have changed, of course. So you can see, the funding rate dumped once. That was mid of November. Since then it lifted up and it's maintaining, indicating they're just demanding more longs instead of shorts. Also open interest bounced here and recovering, but softly or slowly. And the leverage ratio also here dumped once and recovered, will decline once again, and it's maintaining, so nothing big here. On stablecoins, indicating many just taking profit, and related to Bitcoins, nothing big happening. 2,700 Bitcoins just a few hours ago went in, but that's not big at all. We have seen much bigger volume related to Bitcoins and derivative exchanges. If we take a look, no big liquidations happened. So really just 200 in shorts and 200 Bitcoins in shorts and 175 in long. So also here, nothing big happening at the moment. Open interest, as mentioned, recovering slowly. Leverage ratio also declining a little bit, and not open interest, funding rate lifted up very quick. So at the moment, nothing happening here. Related to Binance, we can see that we have here our leverage ratio. As mentioned, we lifted up, declined, and now it seems it wants to go up. The open interest, as mentioned as well, maybe I need to zoom out a little bit so it makes more sense to see that in that way. And now we can see that better. So also here we can see funding rate still showing more demand for longs, open interest just recovering, and funding rate, not funding rate, leverage ratio, Jesus, Inspo. Leverage ratio after it went up declined, and also here nothing happening. Correlates very well to what we have seen just before in the aggregated chart. If we check the blockchain whispers, we can see that we have 59 to 41 long short ratio, indicating 1.2 billions in longs and only, well, it's not only, but 850 millions in shorts. If we take a look here, we have 44 to 46. As usual on Ethereum, it looks better. On Bitfinex, still, well, these longs 1.7 billion always are there. Shorts maintains relatively high because we had in the past 70 billion millions and even less. So 150 is not that bad. Maybe some of them still expecting a Black Friday weekend crash or something. I don't know. I really don't know if that could happen or not. For me, I'm just, driven by blockchain metrics and so on. At the moment, I can't tell you if that's the case or not. If we take a look to the Kingfisher chart, let us see. No, I don't want it. Let me in peace. And yeah, I don't know what happens. Yesterday we had almost 300 million. Now we have 150 million. However, we see that they are here just shorting at the moment. Not big at all, but if we check here what the market is doing, then we see that it would make sense more for the exchanges to liquidate this part, but we have very close to our price, between 16.5 and 16.7 almost, a liquidation cluster that should attract exchanges also to liquidate them. But at the moment, I mean, the biggest liquidation bar here is at 20,400 and the next one at 24,800. Otherwise, 15K on the long side, or even between 14.4 and 13. If we want to liquidate big longs, then we need to go much deeper. Something I wouldn't expect. So also here, that's it. So if we check here the spot CBD, we have the spot CBD for Binance, the spot CBD aggregated from many different exchanges, the future CBD with Bitcoin collateral, and the future CBD with stablecoin collateral. And at the moment, everything looks very negative. So they are here shorting more, here shorting, here selling. At the moment, at least, market selling based on Binance looks relatively bearish. If we go forward, we will see Bitfinex. You can see they are maintaining their purchase a little bit more, but it's maintaining. Nothing big happened here as well. So it seems Bitfinex it's pushing. It makes sense because Bitfinex, Kraken, you remember. Now we are talking about Kraken, and as you see here, for example, Kraken is not doing the same like Bitfinex. It's the opposite of Bitfinex, right? So lifted up, declined. Let us check. Declined. Now let us see. lift it up. Yeah, makes sense. So one is buying, the other selling on market. So we need to see forward what's happening. Coinbase also not big, not anymore, but also rising here in spot CBD. Bitstamp, as you see, it's relatively big. And where is Bybit? That's Bitstamp. Coinbase. Ah, that's Bybit here. Okay. And Bybit, of course, also pushing. But that's it. So nothing big here at all. So if we check here, retailers holding, lifting up, lifted up, now holding. This guy's now pushing up a little bit more, while the market maker have started to decline. I would be careful because, you know, their balances rise by 66 or 60,000 bitcoins in just a few days, and we had that in different times, and afterwards they pushed the price down. So I would be extremely careful here what's going to happen. And this guy's here reduced a lot, so also indicating that something is in the air. If we take BTC in and out alerts, we can see that here we received negative, positive net flow, indicating Bitcoins coming in on centralized exchanges again. And that's, you know, why it's rising a little bit once again. So indicating they are still in preparation. And of course, it correlates with the Wales ratio. So this combination of different indicators are, in my opinion, yeah, very good. Very, very good. Market maker sent 1,600 bitcoins just 2 hours ago. So it looks a little bit like preparation, to be honest. So I would be careful what's going to happen next. I still think we can push up once, distribute there, and then go down once again. That's something we need to see. If the Thanksgiving crash is going to happen. Also, for example, very interesting market. Miners have started in the last few days to sell once again. I mean, 3 days before, that was Tuesday, 2,000 bitcoins. Wednesday, 2,400 bitcoins. Then yesterday, 1,900 bitcoins, and at the moment 1,500 bitcoins. But miners selling at the moment, that's really interesting why they are selling. But I think the stress test is also there. So that's it. Let us go forward. So if we check what we are seeing on Coinbase, we see that at the moment they have placed a wall at 17K. That's the wall I have mentioned yesterday. I don't see anything different. The only one is they started to introduce new walls to the downside at 15.6, at 15.2, at 14.6. Why? They are expecting something. The question is, why? Usually when I see such kind of, let me check. Usually the price, you know, went up, down, retest, and up. So still thinking 17K could be it, and then down once again, but that's something we need to see. Right? So I still don't have a crystal ball. We need to check. I will tweet if I see something, but that's how it looks like at the moment. Deribit limiting the way down at 16.3 at the moment. So they would like to long here, while at the same time they were shorting here, it seems. Much more than longing. Bitstamp waiting at 15.7 and also wants to sell at 17K. You can see what they did here. So moved to lower side 14K, to 13K. Binance Spot, they did something similar, really interesting. At the moment they are protecting the 16.3. They removed a lot of volume at 17K and even here at 16.8. They instead, we have some orders, sell orders here, but this cluster here where was removed up back again because it was at the beginning here, then they shifted to the downside. Now they are pushing up again at 17.6. And you know, they removed a lot of different sell orders there. Even here, for example, at 21,300. The question is why? Not really clear why, but also they removed liquidity here, for example, at 15.7 instead. They are waiting here at 15 big, and yeah, even here reinforcing at 10,000. That's something I don't get that, but however. So still want to see if the price goes up above of 17K to trigger this order here at 17.6. That's something we will see. Bitfinex spot limiting the way down at 7 and 15.8, but also here nothing big happening. OKEX spot, nope. Kraken only at 15K, remove the wall there. That was at 18K, so nothing big here as well. Bybit, nothing. BitMEX, okay. BitMEX now at 15.8 as well. Interesting. So it seems someone is waiting at 15.8. Binance futures, more longs waiting than shorts at the moment. Also waiting here 17.5, makes sense. And also at 15.6, but also here, you know, at 19K, a lot of shorts waiting, but nothing special. Bitfinex derivatives, nothing. Kraken futures, nothing. OKEX futures, nothing. And OKEX swap, nothing. So absolute, that's it.